My void will consume you, if you ask nicely.
Your will is no longer your own.
Stay away from them. To arms!
You have led the Horde to a place without honor.
Your petty quarrels only make me stronger.
Our world needs us, champion.
You got it over your head.
We cannot let the world fall to darkness.
Already lost.
Put your faith in the light, and all is possible.
Is it truly righteousness that drives you? I wonder.
It would seem you have guessed.
They are coming for you. This is the Whispers of War.
Hello and welcome to show number 72 of Whispers of War. I'm your host Sil, and let's jump into how was my week in Warcraft. So in BFA I've been raiding shit tons. Well, I say shit tons, it's twice a week, but still it's a lot more than it used to be, which was normally never. I haven't raided in a very long time, several expansions really. So it was really fun to be part of a raid team again. And we're just doing everything on normal at the moment. I'm sure that once everyone is geared up, we'll make progression to heroic. But we've killed 7 bosses so far in Iolota. And we're working on Vexiona. And that was 1% yesterday. Just 1%. We almost had her, but it was just a tank standing. And yeah, it was a shame with the 1%. But it was really, really good. I think we've definitely made a lot of progress. And it's a lot of fun. So, you know, yeah, keeps us busy twice a week at least. And yeah, there's just lots of other stuff that you need to do, or at least I think I should be doing. So I've been still grinding away for the horrific visions of Stormwind and Orgrimmar and the Cloak. And also started to work a little bit on my other characters, I have to admit. Just because I feel like at a certain point, you know, you're always grinding and trying to upgrade your gear. I sometimes want to go back a little bit to do other things. And with my raid character, or my main character, I don't really tend to do anything else. I don't have much of an RP background for her, a little bit, but I don't really actively RP with her. And that's really one of the things I do want to start to focus on. But that also means that I need to level some of them a little bit in between. Don't ask me why, I just feel like I need to level them as well. So what have I been doing? I have a really weird thing set up now that from all my alts I basically have 3 groups that are quite important to me. So I have the guild Immortalis, which I'm part of, and then I have the guild a bit like Taliethics, and I raid with a bit like Taliethics, and I have lovely people in there, and with the same really with Immortalis except for the raiding. So I thought to myself, okay, what do I want to do for the next expansion? Because, you know, there's a lot of customization coming in and paths you can take. And I thought, I want to be flexible with what I do. Because we all know, you know, you set your heart on one character or class. And then Blizzard makes certain changes. And your class is not that great anymore. Which sometimes can diminish some of the fun. It's a fact, you know. You don't have to do max DPS, but sometimes the playstyle just doesn't suit you anymore. So I thought, I need to have at least 2 backups. So, per group, I have 2 backups, which basically means I have 9 characters, because, okay, so this is how it works. So I have my main rogue in a bit like Taliethics. I have 2 other characters there, one that I really want to level and another one that I need to gear. One is a shaman, or shami, wherever, potato, and the other one is a demon hunter, because people keep saying if you love rogue, you will like demon hunter. So, fuck it, you know, I'll give it a fair shot. And so far, I have to admit, demon hunter is not bad. I quite like all the gimmicky things, so giving that a shot. Now in Immortalis, I have my druid, who I've had for years. I have my warrior, because I love warrior. And I have my paladin, because I want to give paladin a shot, and she needs to be leveled up, and she's a light forged and she's beautiful, and I want to level her up. So, you know, my druid in that one is really like my RP character, but I want to see if I can also RP with my warrior, who is a void elf, because I find void elves slightly difficult to RP with, but that's that. And then of course I have the horde side. I'm still guildless. If anyone has a good horde guild on Argent Dawn, a little bit focused on RP but not too heavy, then let me know. I would gladly join that with all my characters. So I have to admit my horde characters are a little bit more dear to me, because my RP backgrounds for them are much more elaborate. And I might play Alliance, but I will always be a horde at heart. So I have my troll shaman, who I love dearly. He's just amazing. Then I have my Blood Elf Rogue, which has been like my main character for most of the time. I only just swapped to the Void Elf because I'm more on the Alliance side now. And then I have my Blood Elf Paladin, which also has a really back story that is very elaborate. And yeah, so they fall in those 3 groups, and the ones with my Night Elf are like the goody two shoes, just want to heal the world and make everything better, whereas my bunch from Taliafix, which has my rogue, are just a bit of the outcasts in society, and they've just teamed up as a group and just thought, well, if you're outside, let's be outside together or something. And then my hordes, my horde characters, the 3 of them are somewhat of a dysfunctional family, and that sounds really weird with the whole fact that one of them is a troll. Yeah, it's an interesting storyline, that one, which I might in the future tell a bit more about. But that's how I've ordered them, and it's given me a lot of inspiration also to draw them, because having them actually with a group setting and thinking about their backgrounds has given them a lot of personality again, and it made it more fun for me to level them as well, and to gear them up, and just to perform, well, I say really well, to perform better on them, to actually make the effort. So yeah, I'm really back into World of Warcraft now. My other 50,000 characters also still need to be leveled. I don't really know what to do with them yet, and it's difficult, I think, at times, because I have so many characters that I think are amazing. Same with classes, but I don't know. I think 9 is enough, don't you think? 9 characters that should be evenly distributed with time, and then whatever else needs to be leveled, so be it. I have to admit, I'm having a very soft spot for the Volpera, because I created a Volpera shaman. And the totems are so cute. They are absolutely adorable. I really love the totems. I think it's just, you know, the fact that the tails of the totems are the elements. It just looks so cool. And yeah, I like Volpera. I don't care. I know that especially on my server you see the Urus flying all around. It's fine. Yeah. That's my guilty pleasure. So yeah, I'm having a blast in World of Warcraft, really. I do feel the pressure at times of keeping up with everything, you know, doing your dailies, making sure that you get all your, what's the word, coalescent essences? Is that the word I'm looking for? You know, to get those vessels and do the visions and upgrade the cloak. I do feel like sometimes that's a little bit of a job. I'm not always enjoying it, but I'm also quite like, okay, well, if I don't want to do it, I'm not fucking doing it anymore. I had to really rip myself away from the veil, and that had to do with that fucking dragon, because I had the lasso. Now that dragon has slipped through my fingers 4 times, because I actually saw it despawn right in front of me, and I was just not quick enough because of those fucking worms that give you that debuff. You know, to not fly so quick. So at a certain point I thought, oh, it's up again. Am I going to sit here waiting for 2.5 hours in one spot, hoping that I'll be in time for once? And then I thought, nope, you're just going to wait until, I don't know, Shadowlands or something, and it's a lot quieter. You'll try it now and again, and if you get it, you get it. Otherwise, tough shit. yeah, I'm not wasting my time on that anymore because I have other stuff to do, and I really don't like stuff like that. It makes me really anxious. So fuck that. Really, fuck that. And of course, you know, it's Valentine's week, so the quest for the non-existent love rocket starts again. Whether that be in-game or outside of game, that's totally up to you. So yeah, I don't know. I'm doing that now and again when I feel like, oh yeah, I guess I could throw my ult in that, because it only takes like 2-3 minutes. But I have 40 alts who can do that. And that's a bit too much, I think, for every day. So I might just limit it to 10. I have no... I really don't think it will ever drop for me, personally. Because I had no luck with that fucking llama in Voldoon either. Doing all the world quests. But hey ho, you know, so is life, I guess. What else did I do? I played a little bit of Warcraft 3. I didn't stream it. I was planning on streaming it, and then I think something is wrong with my announcements, my settings. I need to look at it once with someone who can help me, Frasley. And because I think everything is like, I don't know, somewhere the communication between that and Twitch is not going perfect. So I thought, you know what, I'll record it instead. And give my opinion about the first things. But I can give you my opinion now. So I know there's a lot of controversy regarding Warcraft 3, as you heard last week with Crush. So Warcraft 3, I played that years ago. Not when it first released, I doubt that very much. I think I picked it up later or something. And I started playing it. I never really finished it. Because always something happened and I had to reinstall my computer and then the save files were gone. You know, stuff like that. I was never able to finish it. And then at a certain point I became a graphics snob. And I thought, I'm not playing this anymore, it looks horrible. And then, of course, when Reforged was announced, I thought, well, that's perfect. Because the graphics will be updated, I can finally completely finish it instead of ending somewhere halfway. Even though I know the storyline, but you know, I like RTS games anyway. And then I played it now, even though so many people are quite negative about it and wanted their money back. I thought, well, it's still the same RTS, it just looks a little bit better, and that's what you wanted it for. But I'll be honest, I am a little bit disappointed with none of the updated cutscenes. Now, I'm saying none of the updated cutscenes. I'm sure there are a few that might be. But the one that I thought was just immediately glaring at me was, this is not a spoiler, but the first cutscene you get, or one of the first, is when Thrall wakes up from a dream, I guess from the crow that is Medivh, and you see an orc wake up from the bed, which is supposed to be Thrall. That is like such a generic orc face that looks so outdated. It looks nothing like Thrall, and especially not with the updated model. And that's what got me a little bit disappointed, because I thought, really? Really? That's what he looks like now? Yeah, that's not great. Also, I think that the colors are quite bright. I don't know if that's my settings, because I'm playing it on alter settings at the moment, which my computer seems to be fine with, but I think like the green from the map from the grass is really hurting my eyes, and I don't know if I should change some things, because yeah, I'm not happy with that really, I can foresee myself getting a massive headache. So that's really it. I'll probably upload that to my YouTube just because, why not, you know, at least it's there. I recorded something, I'll see what happens with it. I will be playing it, just don't know when. In between, I guess. In between the grinding of horrific visions. So, that's really it. If you wanna try Warcraft 3, I guess that's up to you. I can't really say if it's good or not. I like the RTSs. I used to love the game before. I'm sure I'll love it again if it doesn't have too many bugs, but I'll keep you updated, I guess. Unless something big happens with that. But yeah, that's really my opinion. I'm not against it at all. A little bit disappointed with the cutscenes, and that's it. So I will now leave you with something that doesn't disappoint, which is a lovely interview I had with Sai from Scrubs vs. the World. So I will leave you with that, and I'll come back with a little bit of an announcement afterwards. So I'll see you on the flip side. And with me today, I'm being joined by someone who's been on my show many a times. I think, well, you've been at least once.
One time,
yeah, one time. And then I was on your show.
Mm-hmm.
So welcome back, Sai.
Thank you for having me.
It's wonderful to have you, and it's always so much fun to talk to you. So for those who don't know you, why don't you explain a little bit who you are, what you do on the internet?
So I am the host of a little podcast called Scrubs vs. the World. So it is a now World of Warcraft focused show where I talk to folks to find out ways to improve how I play the game by finding out how they play the game. Mm-hmm. So, for example, on the time you joined me, we talked about role playing, and I wanted to find out how you approach that. What are some of the add-ons? How are some of the ways I could, jump in and try it if I've never done it before? So now my show is going to focus on going a little deeper into the content and try to get those folks who have maybe started and they're like, okay, I got to this point. Now how do I get to the next point? So I want to try to help build those foundations and give those resources so they can, if they want to min-max or if they want to join an RP guild or something, they can go and do that. So that's kind of my hope and dream going forward.
It sounds really cool. It's quite an original idea.
Yeah, I mean, I figured the best advice I ever received was when my friends were telling me, hey, you should probably do it this way. And so they would kind of show me how they did it, and then I would take that information and kind of mold it to what worked for me. Mm-hmm. So I could go on to Icy Veins, for example, or Wowhead and read a strategy, but if I can't mold it and turn it into something that I can actually understand, then it's no good to me. So hopefully I can help create some of those. Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Is it like a guide?
Not like a guide, but like a way to learn, like a different way to learn the content out there, instead of just going to YouTube or to these websites and just having somebody read out loud, or you have to go combing through a giant article or a comment section or something.
Yeah, no, I think that's really good. Okay, if you would have to give the advice, like, how do you get the most enjoyment out of your game?
So for me, I do heroic level raiding right now, for example. I don't have the time to put in to do mythic level raiding. So I want to try to find out what are the things that I absolutely have to bring to my raid, and what are some of the add-ons that I should probably do to learn my class, or add-ons to have so I can learn my class and get better at my rotation. Yeah, so what are those baseline things that I need to have before I even think about going into a heroic level raid? Okay. So those are kind of the points we hit. So the next show that I'm going to release is going to talk about DPSing. So I have Sniper Frog, or Mr. Ali, if you will. Ali from Dungeon Fable's husband comes on. And we talked about DPSing and kind of what he does to prepare for a raid. And since he's a freshly minted raid leader, it kind of gave him an opportunity to kind of flesh out some of those other things that he expects from his DPSers to bring and to be prepared for. So I think it's going to be a cool show.
Nice. I definitely need to take notes during that show, because as my guildies know, I try not to die, but my DPS is very shit. So, well, bless their souls, they're so sweet with carrying me, but it would be nice if I could help out.
That's awesome. Well, it's funny too, because I switched over from Resto Shaman to Elemental Shaman, and wow, was that a change? Because I've been playing Shaman forever, and when I went to play Elemental, I was like, I did this for years, I know what I'm doing, and I get in there and was below the tanks in damage. And I was like, wow, I am terrible. So I need to go through and kind of redo this thing and figure it out.
Yay for class changes. Okay, so you're saying that your shaman is your main class right now?
Correct.
Okay, well, let's go to which faction. Are you Horde or Alliance?
I am Alliance.
Ah, so which flavor shaman are you? Are you Draenei or...
I am a Draenei,
Dwarf?
yes.
Ah, nice. I don't see them a lot anymore.
No, it's hard because, I mean, admittedly, the Dark Iron Dwarves are way cooler as a shaman. And I get that. But I think the Draenei, I've been playing this Draenei since BC launched.
Wow.
And so, I mean, I can't change him out of what he is. He's a space goat. He will always be a space goat. And that's just the way it's going to be.
So how come you settled on Shaman?
Well, I loved them back in vanilla. So I dinked around with a Tauren Shaman. Mm-hmm. And, doing the two-handed Wind Fury procs of Doom and all that good stuff. And I was like, man, I really want to play this. Even though I kind of have some of those old school kind of thoughts where I kind of wish the factions did have classes that the other one didn't have. Mm-hmm. Because from a class fantasy point of view, like the Shaman is, very element driven, very in touch with the earth. And that feels like it fits in perfectly with the Horde. But then the Alliance side, we're more light-based, kind of more of a, quote-unquote civilized, but that's debatable even. But, more like a structure of what we see in everyday life, in real life. So to me, like a Shaman doesn't really fit in that mold. I think more like Paladin does, and I think Classic had that cool balance between the two. But I mean, I'm not complaining that I can play a Shaman as an Alliance person, so I'm gonna go ahead and keep it. But yeah.
Okay, so you say that you're more Alliance based. Have you switched to Horde at any certain point in time just to check out the story, or is it a no-go?
I did. So back in the day, I was extremely anti-Horde. Now, when I did play that Horde Shaman, it was in secret. No one knew I played the Horde Shaman. But I don't know. I think it's something about running around Ashen Vale as a young, what was I back then? I think I was a warrior, a Night Elf warrior. And, as a young Cyreb warrior, getting murdered unmercifully by these horrible Horde people. And that just kind of fueled my hatred until the story kind of forced us to look at the Horde differently. So like in Cataclysm, for example, that was kind of a time when we came together to fight Deathwing. We had this giant world boss who was coming after us. I mean, Lich King kind of too. I still hated him back then, but like Cataclysm's kind of where I started to turn. Because it's like, well, from a story perspective, does it make sense that we're fighting each other still when there's this Gigantor dragon coming around and burning our faces off randomly in the zones where we actually got an achievement for it? Shouldn't we start thinking about coming together to fight this thing? Or are we just going to be like, nah, it's cool, we're going to keep fighting each other and then get eaten by the dragon randomly? So I think as the stories progress and the big baddies kind of get bigger and baddier, I think Blizzard should really look towards allowing Alliance and Horde to play together when the story kind of makes it a thing to do. If that made any sense at all.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay, so you've been saying that you've been playing for a very long time. How did the love for World of Warcraft start for you?
Well, it actually started with my great aunt. So my great aunt, who is no longer here, unfortunately, she passed away, 6 years ago. But she actually fueled my love for kind of the fantasy-driven video games. So she got me hooked on Warcraft 2, Warcraft 3, obviously. But we're playing the games like Heroes and Might and Magic, Baldur's Gate, kind of stuff like that. But so every time I'd go visit her, she'd be like, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. Can you help me? And I remember she showed me her level 50, I think it was 52 mage, something like that. It was low 50s.
Mm-hmm.
I look at her gear, and she had a gray staff. It was like level 12. And then she kind of did T-Mog before there was a T-Mog. But she was wearing like gray items and white items and stuff that you get like in the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
So she was telling me, I was like, hey, you should probably switch out your gear and get better gear. And she's like, but I can't. It's my walking stick. I gotta have my walking stick.
Oh.
And so I was like, okay, well, you know what? We're gonna go ahead and just roll with it, and we'll see what we can do. So fortunately, she was in a guild of some really amazing people. And I wish I could remember what the guild name was, because they carried her through everything. So when she showed me her character, she was in Blackrock Depths. And I was like, how did you even get to this point in the game? Like, things should just look at you and kill you. But she loved it. And it was that innocent kind of love for the game that really kind of spoke to me and kind of helped me embrace, being a nerd, if you will. Because, it was right around middle school time, not middle school, when the game came out. I was graduated, but, when you're young and you still think you're cool, and it turns out you're just another person, and you kind of hold yourself back from feeling kind of what you want to feel and get into the things you want to get into. She helped me kind of push past that as a young person. So now I just embrace what I am and who I am. So, playing this game and playing with her and just seeing how much she enjoyed it, just from the pure, like, wow, I can't believe I'm running around in this world with my walking stick and, just having a good time with it.
Aw, I like that story. That's a good story. So, did you start with Classic at all when it came out?
I did. Well, not right away. So I didn't have a computer that could handle it.
Yeah.
So funny story was my wife, we moved out together when we were 18 years old into this tiny 1-bedroom apartment that had one window. So it was like 1,000 degrees in there at all times. And we're sitting there, and her friend from work was like, hey, we want to do a date night with you guys. There's an internet cafe down the road we can go to. We want to show you this cool game. And so we go down there, and it was World of Warcraft. So we're like, okay, well, this is neat. So we went there, we played for like 6 hours at this cafe. And we're like, we got to come back. So then we kept going back to that thing like every day. And so finally we went and picked up a copy of the game. We put it on the computer, and it actually ran, albeit not good. And so, you would go into Ironforge, and then our frame rate would drop down to like 2. So you'd start in, and then next thing you know, you're in that stupid trench. So then you had to hearth out. So if you had a quest in there, we had to go do those quests at like 3 a.m. So the latency wasn't terrible at the time. But that kind of, once we figured it out and, got better with money management, we got a better computer, and then I haven't stopped playing since. So
Nice. When they announced that, or when Classic dropped, I have to say last year now, it's so weird. When it dropped last year, did you jump back into it, or is it something that you're completely like, nah, I've done it once?
No, I did, and I still do play it. I just don't play it as much as I want to, because I have to do my BFA stuff for Raid, so I don't want to be ill-prepared. Yeah. And with the podcast, I also play the game as a kind of like a research. So when I'm doing my show prep and all that stuff, I'll go in and play Battle for Azeroth, because that's the current stuff. I do want to hit on Classic, but because I'm a bi-weekly show, I have to kind of pick my topics as I can. So because of my time constraint, I can't get into Classic like I wanted to, because I really wanted to focus a lot on that as it was coming out, because everyone was stoked for it. And when it did come out, I played it quite a bit, but the server issues, not being able to get on, and just kind of time constraints has really slowed me down on playing more Classic.
Yeah, I think unfortunately what I found out with Classic is that it's taking. I kind of forgot how time consuming it can be compared to what you have to do in BFA. And it's like what you said, you have to prepare for raids and don't be too far behind with like horrific visions now. It's trying to find that time with your adult life, and I don't really have that 15 years ago.
Right. And, when I was younger, I'd go to work and come home and play Warcraft because my wife was working. And so, like, our schedules were not lined up. So when I was at work, she was playing. When she was at work, I was playing.
Yeah.
So that worked. So I was able to put in those ridiculous hours and play the game as much as I wanted. But now, I mean, I kind of treat Classic like my zone out time. So I'll get in. I'll go do like 3 quests that take me like an hour and a half. But during that time, I'm just listening to the environment, listening to the music, enjoying the kind of the time I'm in the game, and I'm just relaxing. I mean, I kind of treat it like it's a no stress thing. Because in Battle for Azeroth, I'm like, okay, I got my dailies done. Now I got to go feed my little alien larva thing that I named Reginald. So got to keep Reggie fed. I don't know what he's going to grow into, but it's going to be fun. And but yeah, I mean, it's been. I wish I had more time, but I just don't.
No, I know that feeling. Okay, so that's a little bit about the past and how it is in the present. How do you feel looking at the future about Shadowlands and when they announced that last year at BlizzCon? I
am super excited for it.
How come?
Well, I think the kind of where the all right, I gotta start over here because last year, maybe a year and a half ago or something, I was right before Classic launched. I was pretty sour on the game. I felt that Battle for Azeroth launch, in the beginning, like the questing was good, the story was good, but once you hit the kind of the last part of that, and you were up to speed on everything, I felt like it was just lacking. Like the Azerite system sucked. I hated that. I just didn't like a lot of the elements that were in the game. So I was really sour on the game. So now as they made these changes with Nazjatar and Mechagon, I really enjoyed those zones. And 8.3, I'm loving 8.3. I feel like, putting the best Azerite pieces out there in the raid so you can go get your best thing. You don't have to worry about RNG. It's kind of how they should have done it in the beginning. I'm liking that. I also like the kind of how this new N'Zoth attack zones are kind of fun, and they change weekly, so I like that. So it keeps it fresh. So I think the trajectory they're on, they're making some of these changes, and they listen to what the community was dealing with. And I think going into Shadowlands, I think they're going to keep going with that. At least I hope they do. And I think Shadowlands is going to be awesome because it's kind of a bold adventure, and it's a bold idea to go past the world of the living.
Yeah.
And I think that they could really set some really cool things up for the future, going past Shadowlands. So can we get to a point where we can raid with our Horde buddies if we want to? Because we're in this weird dimension where Horde versus Alliance doesn't exist, and we have to go and we have to kill this super baddie who's now hurting this universe or whatever. So I think there's some really cool ideas that they could work with. So I'm really excited to see where it goes.
Okay, cool. Now, with the announcement of Shadowlands, of course, we have several things that they've announced of what's going to change and what they're implementing. One of those are the covenants. Do you already have an idea of where your chamois is going to go?
See, this is hard because I'm sure once more details come out on these covenants, they're going to have specific things for whatever role you're playing. So like if you're a healer, going with X covenant's probably going to be the best for you. But just off the surface, if I could just choose one, I'm the kind of guy that chooses the thing you're not supposed to do. So when people tell me what I'm supposed to do, my first instinct is to go, no, I'm doing it this way. I want to kind of explore the Necro Lords of Maldraxxus.
Okay.
Because I think they look the coolest, and the Scourge has that history in the game, especially now with Warcraft 3 being playable again for the newer audiences. You know, the Scourge has been around forever, and the Scourge has always been that big bad.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be really fun to go and see where they come from, and to maybe even join them and become a Scourge shaman. That'd be fun.
That is an interesting concept.
Yeah. There's all kinds of neat things that could happen with that, but I think I'm more drawn to them because of the history in the game of having those guys in there.
Would you say that if you, I don't know if you're an alcoholic like I am, but if you have any alts and you would run through the content, would you choose a different covenant, or would you do the same, or is it just for looks, or is it more like a background reason then for them?
Well, I think for the alts, I definitely want to try them all.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to try to get 4 alts. So what my plan is, now whether I actually do this or not, is the next story. But I would love to have, so I have a Blood Death Knight at 120 that I would like to go and party with the Venthyr, because I think that's fun. I mean, vampires, Blood Death Knight, that all kind of goes together, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I want to do a Dino Druid, or the Zandalari Druid. I call them Dino Druids because you get to be a dinosaur.
I like Dino Druids.
Yeah, I mean, if I started one up, I'm at level 22 or something like that now, but I want to level that guy up and get him in with the Night Fae of Ardenweld, and then I want to do a Blood Elf Paladin and go join the Kyrians of Bastion. I think that would be fun.
Okay. That is really, at least you have all the bases covered then.
Yeah, and then that way, if they keep doing the factional storytelling, I can hit all pieces of the faction stories and kind of get the full picture. And then I can also see all of the different covenants. And who knows, maybe I'll like one better and switch my main over to that. So
you never know, especially if they do any class changes. Weirder things have happened, I think, with people who had to switch mains because a class was just unplayable.
Yeah, I think that's something to think about. And also, like, I've switched classes in the past, but I'm just so stubborn that I'm like, nope, I don't care if Shaman's the worst thing in the world, I'm sticking to it. That's kind of where I'm at now.
It's not a bad thing, though, because I think in the end, they change so much. And I think Shaman, apparently from what I've heard, are starting to make a comeback now again, aren't they?
They are. I have definitely figured out my DPS woes, and so we use Warcraft logs. So I've been watching my progression as we kind of do these raids each week, and I started off with terrible gray parses. We were talking like 9s and 10s, really terrible crap. And now I'm up in the blue area, so I'm getting better. I got some more work to do though, because I got to get into that purple zone, but we'll get there.
It's any progress is progress.
Yeah. I mean, I went from, well, we should probably sit Sai to, okay, he's back in the group.
Okay, good. So something else that they're changing with talking about alts and things like that, that they're changing is the way that we level our alts, which is a big thing for me personally. As many people know, I'm insane with 30 alts and 10 that still need to be leveled. What are your thoughts about the leveling process that they want to implement compared to what is the case now with leveling? Because when we level now, as many people know, you out level a zone, then you have to, like, after a few levels, it's like, okay, we're going to Outland or Wrath of the Lich King. And then there's a bit of Pandaria, but you maybe do 1 or 2 zones, and then you have to hop again to somewhere else. So you don't really get the stories of these areas at all about the expansions. This will change. What are your feelings about that? Do you think that will make you more inclined to roll something? Or are you like, nah, it doesn't matter to me, all leveling is bad?
So before Classic launched, I was a purist. absolutely hated the idea of them messing with the leveling system, messing with, the core game of what it was, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because this is my favorite game I've ever played, hands down. I mean, it's better than Ocarina of Time. It's better than all those games, and I might get some hate for that. I'm sorry. But that's how I feel about this game. This game is the best thing that's ever happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when they started messing with it in Cataclysm and Mists of Pandaria and moving up through Warlords, and now we have this weird time jump and all this stuff, I wasn't too thrilled with it. But since Classic is out now, I say, let's get crazy. Let's do those things that I was afraid for them to do because I just didn't want the game to go away.
Mm-hmm.
But now that Classic's there, I can go back and play the original game and I'll be, happy as a clam.
Mm-hmm.
But if we want to get crazy with time jumps and universe jumps and all this other stuff, let's do it. Why not? So I think the new leveling idea is great. I feel that there's so much story in this game that is not seen by new players, especially with the boosts and everything, that this will really give people an opportunity to go back and appreciate what was happening back when those expansions were live. So I'm kind of hoping to save my Blood Elf and my Druid for Shadowlands so I can go experience some of those things. So like, I want to go do Burning Crusade as a Blood Elf.
Okay.
Because that's when they came into the game, and I want to see their side of the story. So I saw the Draenei side a long time ago. But what was it? What was it like when Kel'Thas is going around and being a big jerk and we have to kill him? And I want to take the Zandalari Druid and go through maybe like Cataclysm again, or maybe go relive Mists or something, and just go appreciate what those expansions were. Even though, we have the new gameplay mechanics, but we can go see the stories and go do the quests like they were intended to be done. So I'm pretty stoked about that. My wife's actually really excited about it too, so that's going to be fun. Hopefully I can enjoy that with her.
That would be really cool. That's so nice. Okay. Now let's jump into Horde and Alliance. How do you feel about the factions now that we sort of have peace? I use the term peace very loosely because, well, it is Warcraft.
It is.
I've heard very different views. Some people say, well, I'm actually quite happy that we don't have a war part in there anymore. It's very old-fashioned to have that still. And then there are people who say, no, Warcraft needs to have war. So how do you feel about the Horde versus Alliance story?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because, like you're saying, the faction war or the faction differences have been there since the beginning. And I do get that it's really hard to reverse that, right? I also feel that because this is an ever-evolving story, I think that they should try to find a way to actually let the Horde and Alliance play together. Now, that might be a controversial opinion, because I was so anti-Horde when I was younger, but now just from a story element, it makes sense that we should be able to join forces and actually go fight N'Zoth together, or go fight this jailer guy, whoever he is, or gal. And I think that would just make better sense from a story perspective and from a gameplay perspective. If we're like, well, why are we still killing each other when this thing is literally threatening to wipe us out completely? We can't put our differences aside. I mean, you look at the wars throughout history that actually happened, and people joined up together to help fight a common bad. Like one example, Britain and Russia and America, we all kind of came together to fight, the bad things that happened in the 40s. But then after that, we kind of were like, okay, Russia, you suck. Now we're going to have this Cold War. I mean, they could totally write angles like that, because that happened. That really happened in life. So I think that would be kind of a better, more believable angle to take than just like, well, we're kind of at peace, but we're not. So, we're going to kind of keep it the same. So it just kind of feels clunky right now.
Yeah. Do you still think that the faction thing stood should be still in place, or you think it's a bit outdated, or what is your view on it?
I think the core should stay. I mean, there should always be a Horde and an Alliance. But whether or not we're on the same team at that time could be determined by the outside factors. So I think that it would be really cool if they broke out those main factions. So like, for example, the group that chose to side with Sylvanas and the group that chose to kind of try to undermine her and overtake her. That would be cool if there was two factions of the Horde where you could kind of choose if you want to still be a part of it and maybe make that third faction or second faction in that group. But then when things go crazy, like, you know, she splits the rift between the living world and the dead world, like, yeah, we should probably come back together and play as Horde together, you know, or like a subset of the Alliance or something. I think that would be kind of neat if they did something like that.
Okay, well, we will hear what they do with that in the future. I guess we just have to wait.
Yeah.
What has the Warcraft community meant to you?
It's meant a lot to me. You know, as I get older, you know, there are... how should I phrase this? Well, sorry, I got a thought here.
That's all right.
It's a deep thought, so...
That's fine. I'm all for deep thoughts.
So with life, so I have children. I have two kids. And so they are getting to the age of middle school. So my daughter's in 7th grade now. My son's in 5th grade, but my daughter's already in it, but my son's getting ready to be in it as well. So we're making that transition into having teenagers. And so, you know, life gets really hectic and it gets really crazy. So unfortunately, I can't see my real life friends as much as I would like to. So I used to, every Monday night, we'd get together and we'd get pizza and we'd watch, you know, American football. And it was a blast and it was fun. Well, now we have families, now we have kids, now we have jobs that require a lot of hours. And so I don't have the time to actually go somewhere and spend time with people in the real world. So now, because of the Warcraft community, I can go online in my little, you know, hour to 2 hour chunks that I can play when I can sneak the time in and hang out with folks and meet new people. And especially with this podcast, like I spend, you know, sacrifice some of my game time to make a podcast, but meeting these people, like I met you through it, you know, meeting Allie and meeting Frasley and meeting all these folks that I've kind of started to develop actual like friend relationship with. That's been a really big thing and has been really important to me because of my outside game and outside time and, you know, having a lack of that to actually spend with my friends here, you know, on my side of the world. But, yeah, no, it's been really cool meeting all these folks and kind of becoming a part of the WoW community, especially as a content creator. So it's been really cool. It's been fun and it's helped me a lot, especially dealing with some of the down times I have when I can't see friends. So it's been very helpful.
That's good. I really like hearing that. Yeah, I guess, you know, it's life, isn't it? It just, your life changes in some expected and some unexpected ways. But then, you know, there are these things.
Right. I mean, we're 8 hours apart and we're having a conversation about something that unites us. And, you know, we don't know each other in real life, but online we've had some fun interactions and it's been really cool. It's really fun to get to know you and see your show and watch it grow. It's really cool.
I think, and vice versa. It's like I said, it's always, I think with every guest that I have, it's just so much fun to talk to other people who share the same, at least maybe not the same like passion, but you know, it's something that unites everyone. Like you said, we both play the game and it's just, you know, you learn about different views, different ways that people got into the game and their things that they are passionate about in the game and the things that they don't like in game. And I think that's just really nice to get those insights. So yeah, no, I agree with you. It's just, in a way, if you would have said this like 20 years ago, I don't think anyone would have been like, Okay.
Yeah, they'll be like, shut up,
over the
nerd.
internet. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you'll get a real life. That's what they would have said.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Okay, well, let's go back to another nerdy question, which is going to be my final one. What is your favorite in-game food and why?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Mm.
So, in the past, I've always loved the Deviant Delights, but I feel that that's a pretty common, kind of boring answer. I think the McDowell's cheeseburger from Mechagon is my favorite one, and it's because it's a nod to a movie that was made in the 80s called Coming to America. So they have, the story is, this prince comes over from Africa and he's trying to make it on his own because he doesn't want to just have everything given to him. And so he meets this girl that he really likes working at a restaurant called McDowell's. So it's a total ripoff of McDonald's.
Yeah.
And so it's green and yellow instead of red and yellow. And so he goes and works at this restaurant, and of course the shenanigans take place. But I just love that little nod to that movie because that's one of my favorite movies.
They are very good with their little Easter eggs in the game, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with you. Okay, that's really cool, because I did not, now that you said that, I did not make that connection yet, so yeah, I like that. Now I need to watch Coming to America again.
Yeah, it's a good movie. It's pretty funny. Eddie Murphy, Arsenio Hall, they play like a bunch of different characters in it.
Yeah,
So-
yeah. I thought it was always fun to see if I could spot who they played.
Oh yeah, and some of their characters are like the barbershop guys are my favorite guys.
And you know which song will never leave my head? That Soul Glow.
The Soul Glow.
That just doesn't leave my as
so
soon as I
good.
hear it.
Well, I sing that to everybody when they mention even something close to that. So like my wife's like doing hairspray, I'll sing it at her. I don't know if I want to do it now because I don't know if I want my singing voice on the internet, but
That's totally up to you. But if not, people can always, I know that Netflix in Europe has Coming to America, so I don't know if the American one has it, but you can watch it there. So I would definitely suggest watching it.
oh yeah, it's a fun time.
Absolutely. Okay, well, Sai, thank you so much for being an amazing guest. If people want to find you and the podcast and everything else that you do, where can they find you?
Well, you can find my Twitter, and it's at ScrubsVerse. The show is on Podbean, but you can go to iTunes or Stitcher, Spotify, all your favorite podcast places, and find it there. Just search for ScrubsvsTheWorld. My Twitch channel is twitch.tv/Cyrub. That's CYRUB. So I will be streaming more. I want to try to stream just fun, goofy things, and then, of course, on the weekends, every other weekend, do the kind of supplement mini show, if you will, there. So you can come hang out, say hi. Of course, now I'm on the west coast of the United States, so for those European listeners, I hope you want to stay up late or get up early. But definitely, worst case, you go check out the VOD too. So
You can always do that. Okay, well, thank you so much, and I'll make sure that those links are always in the show notes. Thank you again for being an amazing guest, and hopefully I'll be talking to you more.
Oh, of course. Yeah, you're always welcome on my show, and hopefully we can get together and do some more RP shenanigans. So
Yes, let's do that.
because that was too much fun. I'm going to be better this time. I'm not going to break character so early.
You know what? You did fabulous. And people, if you wanna know what we're talking about, you need to listen back to that show.
Yeah, I can't remember what episode it is, but it's, I think I put Syl from Whispers of War in the title itself, so you might be able to search that, but...
Yeah, you'll find it. As if it's about RP, you'll find it. All right.
It was awesome.
Yes, absolutely. So I hope you enjoyed that interview with Sai. It was great talking to him again, and you should definitely check out his podcast. Links are in the show notes, as I said. Right, let's go to a little bit of an announcement. So, I am thinking of doing a sort of like double podcast. Now, I'll explain a little bit what I mean. Normally, I ask a question of the week. Sometimes I ask the listener to talk about a certain subject, and then I will post that on Twitter to ask your opinions about it. And sometimes I just ask questions, and that's mostly at this time of the show, you know. But I sometimes feel like they get a little bit rushed. And during the interviews, I just like to talk to the guests, and I want to hear their opinions about lots of things, and, you know, not force a certain subject, even though they might want to talk about it, but I'm like, maybe other people would like to talk about that subject as well. So, what I've been thinking is to keep the show very much as like it is today. You know, I have a guest, we talk about the questions, and I talk a little bit about how my week in WoW was, and that's it. And then the show ends. And then on a Wednesday, let's call it Whisper Wednesday, I will release another show, a little bit shorter than this one, because this one is always around an hour. And in that part, I will talk about, you know, like a topic of the week. Whether that's just me talking about that subject with all your Twitter answers, or it's me and one other person, or me and a whole group of people talking about that subject. I was thinking maybe that's something to do, you know, to have a different show there. And it doesn't have to take an hour. That could be ranging anywhere from 15 minutes to maybe half an hour. And, you know, unless it's a heated subject, it could be an hour, depending on how many people. So yeah. That's what I've been thinking about. I'm not quite sure yet if I should, because 2 shows means extra time. We all know that at times I have to postpone the show because I've been very busy. But I'm hoping that a little bit of normality has come back into my life. And I might be able to do this. Maybe not even every Wednesday, but maybe every other Wednesday. So, yeah, just let me know. Like I said, Sunday shows will always be around an hour because I always aim for the interviews to be nice and long, but maybe I can put more questions in there for the person then, to ask more about their WoW experiences. And then we'll have a topic on the Wednesday. Something like that, like a round table. Just let me know what you think about it, because I don't want to change too much. If you guys like, no, just cram it all in the Sunday show, then, or Monday show in this case, I'll do it. Because, you know, I do value what you guys say. I mean, you are the guys listening to it. I thank God don't have to listen to it, because everyone knows how much I hate editing. So, yeah, it's important to me what you guys think. So just let me know, even on a DM or in a message at Twitter or in an email, whatever. Just let me know. Yeah, and that's it. So if I don't hear anything, I guess everyone wants it, or not. I don't know. We'll see. Anyhow, enough rambling. I will let you have some fun in World of Warcraft. Make sure that you find something you enjoy. And if you want to find more about the show, you can do that on whispersofwar.podbean.com, where you will also find all the show notes with all the links to all the guests and everyone. Go to dragonpoweredstudio.com/Discord if you want to join the Discord channel. That's also where you can leave your opinions. Twitter at whispers_of_war, or my personal one, which is McMonkeys with a Z. You can email whispersofwarpodcast@gmail.com, or you can see me on Twitch. I'm sure I'll be streaming Warcraft 3 soon. Twitch.tv/McMonkeys with 2 Zs. That's it. Also, if you want to be an amazing guest and I want to talk about a certain topic, either for that Wednesday or something, you don't have to be there on Wednesday. I can do these things, you know, way before, different times. We'll make it work with time zones. Let me know, because I would love to have people on. Also, if you just want to be interviewed, that's fine as well. So, yeah. Hopefully I'll hear from some of you guys. I would like an opinion on this. So, yeah, have a wonderful week, and I will hear from you guys next week. Bye-bye.
Just let your soul glow. Just let it shine through. Just let your soul, baby, feel
is brought to you by Dragon Powered Studio. Find more at dragonpoweredstudio.com.